Greetings, friends. My name is Opti, and welcome to another Mythology 101 video, a series dedicated to bringing you the tools you need to be your own mythologist. Speaking of being your own mythologist, I'm always curious as to what each individual thinks mythology exactly is. It begs quandaries like what it means to study myths, or how we should be interpreting myths, or what field of study mythology belongs to. Mythology is a part of my daily life, so it's usually a conversation starter that has me asking, what do you think mythology is? And it's always fascinating to see all the different takes as to what area of academia people say mythology quote-unquote belongs to, because the answers are always varied. Mythology is primitive scientific explanation, or mythology is religious doctrine, or mythology is fictionalized history, and so on are the answers I usually get. You might have even thought of some of these answers yourself. But who is right? What field of study does mythology belong to? Is mythology a matter of religious studies, or philosophy, or literature? Which realm of academia gets to claim themselves the true scholars of mythology? And today's video answers just that. So what area of study does mythology belong to? Well, the correct answer is all of them. That's because mythology as a field of dedicated study is interdisciplinary, and not relegated to any one realm of academia. My 3 previous Mythology 101 videos discussed the reason for variances in definitions of mythology. I recommend you check those out for more context. But to sum them up, the reason there are so many perspectives on what myths actually mean, or how they should be interpreted, is because every area of study has different tools, methods, and end goals in analyzing myths. It makes sense when you think about it in each case. Like an anthropologist would be more likely to focus on the parallels between a particular myth and how that myth's culture applies the rituals, social norms, and lessons in that society. While a literary scholar would be more likely to focus on, say, the themes or characters, plot, and sentence structure of a myth. And so on, with just about any field of study that dabbles in myth interpretation. In fact, the varied nature of different fields all looking at the same materials and primary sources was what stopped me from creating mythology content years ago. I wasn't sure what to do when every avenue I chased had its critics, whether it be archetypal psychology, religious studies, literary interpretation, semiology, anthropology, and so on. It seemed that different fields were more likely to harshly criticize rather than constructively reconcile differences in methodologies. And this can make studying and interpreting myths to be quite difficult. Leading to the question, how is one supposed to be a mythologist when there's no discernible common ground? If you're somebody who wants to get into the larger field of mythology and mythography, my recommendation is to not overthink, much like I did when I had started. I was so concerned over whether or not I was learning the quote-unquote right thing that I became paralyzed while trying to find some sort of correctness, the one objective truth among all of these different fields. And this is not to say that there aren't some methodologies that you should avoid or interpretations that are damaging to a particular myth or culture. It's more to say that this is about building a web of understanding, rather than attempting to find one true mythology. The best way to start, other than with the myths themselves, is to grab related materials that pique your interest and let it take you where it feels natural. Whether you're into religion, composition and literature, psychology, science, art, anthropology, and beyond, look for texts that discuss those topics around myths that you love. Whether these secondary sources be books, essays, YouTube videos, seminars, or courses online, expand from there to fill the gaps in understanding, and don't be afraid to look at critics in order to refine your understanding, and always be open to the idea that there is more to learn to add to your toolkit as a mythologist. And this might be a bit of general advice, but to give more specific recommendations, I actually recommend the works of mythologists like Joseph Campbell, Robert Segal, Elizabeth Bayton, and William Doty. Campbell is probably the best introduction into the idea that myths are not strictly relegated to aged religious and cultural texts, but are a foundational part of the way societies view the world and themselves. He's an undeniably great introduction into the idea of mythological thought that blends psychology, sociopolitics, and rightology, or the study of rites and rituals. Following him up, we have Robert Segal, a modern religious studies professor who has written a number of essays analyzing not only myths themselves, but the theories that we've used over the last 150 plus years, and his work is a great way to understand the upsides and downsides to different theories. Campbell's included. Elizabeth Baton's The Magic Mirror, Myths Abiding Power, while a rather difficult piece to read, which might require outside research, was one of the first pieces that I picked up that specifically picked out several different theories to create the aforementioned web of meaning and understanding that I cannot recommend enough. And lastly, William Doty is probably my number one pick for the idea that mythology is not a specialized and contained area of scholasticism, but a conglomerate of human thought, imagination, and interpretation. If you were to ask me what a perfect mythological analysis would be, it wouldn't be any one interpretation. Rather, I would take as many different people from as many different areas of human ingenuity as I could, place them into a think tank together, and have them come up with ideas to be passed back and forth and refined into one final conglomeration of their efforts and ideas. In summation, mythology doesn't belong to any one field of study, and it shouldn't. Rather, we should consider the perspectives of many learned individuals who dedicate themselves to understanding how and why myths are important, and why they continue to captivate us to this day. For those individuals out there who want to get deeper into mythology, understanding that there are many reasons for the importance and fascination with myth is going to be your best lens for discovering the powers of myth. Thank you for your time today, my friends. Feel free to ask me any questions about mythology that you may have, and who knows, I may do a video on your question in the future. If you have any questions about this video's topic, or you need any recommendations on resources, feel free to comment down below, and I will guide you the best I can. Of course, a shout out to my Ko-fi members. Ko-fi is a creator-focused platform that offers all kinds of ways for creators to monetize their content while providing benefits to those who donate. And the best part is, 100% of that money that you donate goes right to the creator. No middleman, no platform skimming off massive fees off the top. And for my Ko-fi subs, y'all get a special Discord role, Ko-fi exclusive posts and updates, and spoilers about future content or current projects, your name in the videos, and something new I'm currently trying out, you get to access the first draft of all of my scripts, so I can get early feedback to refine my writing, and you get to access a video's content months in advance and helping influence my future work. I post regularly on Twitter, stream on Twitch where we goof about, raise funds for charity, and talk about mythology sometimes. But before I go, I submit this to you. To think of mythology as anything other than human experience, and to think human experience can be relegated to a single notion, a single idea, is, well, kind of silly. Mythology is at its best when we're appreciating it in as many ways as possible. Be well and be loved, my friends.